Go through how to use the physics classroom, how to do the concept builders, how to get help with them if you have questions and things like that. So these are really good because they really force you to understand things. I think they're great preparation for tests and quizzes and things like that, as well as again, demonstrating understanding, because the questions that are asked are similar, but they're not identical per student. So you could get help from someone else, but it doesn't mean that that's going to be answering that they're going to be answering identical questions to you. So to start off with, you're going to go to Schoology, maybe, and you're going to want to have physics classroom. Go to basically the home page for the physics classroom, and it'll pop up and look something like this. You're going to go over here. If you haven't already made your account, you need to do that. That was on this week's syllabus, and we tried to do it last week in class as well. So your account will look different than mine. Basically, when you click on your account and you get it set up, you will see a series of tasks down here, and it'll say due date, past due, get close to getting due, things like that. So you should have 4 tasks. You do not go to the left side and click on these concept builders directly, because it won't register your name. You won't get credit directly. So make sure you always log into your account first and then go and see what's due. So the first concept builder is distance versus displacement. When you click on that, you'll see pages here, I think. I don't know if you'll see a teacher preview or not. I don't really use those anyhow. So it'll say launch concept builder, and to make sure you're getting credit for things, when you wait for it, you should have your email address right here, which is your account, and then you're going to start. And there's various activities. For this one, I'm going to replay the activity with no task tracking because I already got this. I already did these earlier, but you're going to be asked to do apprentice level and master level. Wait for it. Okay, so I'm going to start. So the apprentice level is right here. And it says a shopper walks 5.4 meters westward and then eastward 7.8 meters. The total distance covered is just the total distance covered. You add those up. If you need a calculator for that, there's a calculator over here. So I could say like 5.4. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's for entering the final number. Never mind. I kind of don't want to use that. Because you could just type it in here. So I'm going to add those two. That's 12.8 plus 0.4. That's 13.2. Something like that. What's the magnitude and direction of the displacement? Well, because these are going opposite directions, displacement is simply the difference between those. So I'm going 7.8 east and 5.4 meters west. That would mean I'm going a net of 2.4 meters to the east. And you can toggle back and forth here, but this should be east, and I'm going to go ahead and check my answers. That away. Good. If you get stuck with things or you need help, this will take you to some ideas here for help. If you want to view the directions for how to do this again, it goes somewhere like that. So those are always things I would do. Main menu is basically to go back to the concept, this particular concept builder. It'll warn you about that, because if you're mid activity and you aren't done with it, it won't save the work. You do have to complete the activity. So for example, this activity, there's 3 different progresses, 3 different problems you have to do. If you get one wrong, you're going to have to do it again with different numbers, and you may have to do it twice. So it is helpful to try to get things right the first time. So for example, if I go back to the main menu, yes, I want to return there. I would want to try to complete both of these. So that's what you're assigned. The next concept builder is graph that motion. And again, I'm probably going to have to do a replay activity because I think I did these. In this particular case, you're being asked to use to do the apprentice and the wizard level. You do not need, or pardon me, the apprentice and the master level. You do not need to do the wizard level. So again, I would start here because it's going to get you used to things. So watch the animation and find a position time or velocity time graph that matches this. So this is going in the positive direction, but it's going slower and slower. A position time graph that gets steeper is going faster, so that can't be it. It's not a negative velocity because it's going to the right. It's not going, this would be a position time graph that shows an object going at constant speed. It is going to the right, but the problem is this is slowing down. This is a velocity graph. It shows a positive velocity, which is going to the right, and then it shows it slowing down to 0. So that seems to be what makes sense. I'm going to keep clicking just to see. The position here is not going in the negative direction. The position, again, not going in the negative direction. So I think it's going to be number 4. I'm going to check my answer. Data away. I'm going to continue. Now to show you what happens if you get something wrong, like this is going to the left, it's speeding up the whole time. And I could say, oh, that's speeding up because the position time graph is getting steeper. The problem is this is increasing, indicating a positive velocity, whereas this is negative. So definitely the car is speeding up and this position graph shows that, but it's going to the left. So it really should be something like this. In other words, it's starting in a positive position and heading to the negative. But I'm going to put this down and you'll see what happens. Oh, drats! Now the problem with that is that's red. When you come back to it next, you're going to have to do 2 similar examples. Okay. If you want to go and look at the master level, it is very similar. It's just a little more complicated with different parts. If you need help, hey, graph that motion. There's help. Talks about all these graphs. If you want to view the directions, talks about that as well. Okay, so that is the graph that motion. The next one is name that motion. This again is one where you're only going to have to do the apprentice level and the master level. You do not need to do the wizard level. So essentially you're viewing the animation, finding a verbal description that matches that. The car moves with a rightward velocity and a rightward acceleration. Well, it's moving to the left, so that's obviously not true. This car is not moving with a constant velocity, so that's not true. The car is not moving with a constant speed, so that's not true. The car is not moving in the rightward direction. The car is moving in a leftward direction and a leftward acceleration. That is not true, because if it was accelerating to the left, it would be speeding up. It is moving with a leftward velocity and a rightward acceleration, so that's why the car is slowing down, even though it's moving to the left. So this is the only one that makes sense. I'm going to check that one. I'm going to check my answer and data away. Again, now you have another one, something like that. Let's say I pick one here. I didn't even check to see. That's probably wrong. And again, now I go to another one. So there's lots of different ones to choose from. If I go again to help me here, goes through some different help, goes through directions. If I go back to the main menu, I can show you the master level. Again, this one just happens to usually have, well, that one's like it's a little more complicated. So that has a constant slow velocity to the left, then it stops, then it moves at a medium constant velocity to the right. So the first part of this is correct, then it remains at rest. I lied. There's a rightward acceleration because those dots are getting further apart, so this is the correct answer. It's moving with a rightward acceleration, so I'm going to check that, and that is okay. So again, these motions for the master level are a little more complicated. You've got 2 or 3 things going on. And again, you've got 6 choices normally. But this only has 5 choices. Okay, so that's the name that motion concept builder. The last one that I'm going to ask that you do is the position time graphs conceptual analysis. For this one, I'm going to ask that you do all 3 activities because they're all a little bit different. And so I'll show you an example for each one. Again, make sure you're logged in with your account. Words and graphs. So the position starts here. So you're starting at a positive position. You're not moving. Now you're moving toward the negative. Now you're not moving. Now you're moving up towards 0, and now you're not moving. So during which stage or stages is the object moving with a constant speed? Pardon me. A, C, and E, it's not moving. B and D are both moving with a constant speed. This one's saying during which stage is the object moving with the greatest speed. So you hopefully would know that you need to look at the area with the steepest slope. Again, if you need help, go to help. If you need to view directions, go to view directions. I'm going to get out of here and go to the second activity. So this one is speed rankings. So here, it's the motions of objects A, B, and C, presented by a position time graph. Observe the lines and rank the speeds of objects A, B, and C. Now be careful, this is asking you to rank the speed, yet it says V here implying velocity. So it's only speed, meaning that whether the slope is positive or negative isn't important. You're just looking at the steepness of the slopes. So I would say C is the least steep, so that is the smallest velocity. I would say B is the most steep, so that's the greatest velocity. In the middle is A. Okay, and again, some other things here. You can choose from those, rank going from basically slowest to fastest, but these are all asking about speeds. So the last activity is called dots and graphs. So these are what we would think of as motion maps. So consider the dot diagrams of A, B, and C. The arrow represents the direction of motion. Match the graph of object A, B, and C to one of the lines, so 1 through 6. So A is going in the negative direction, so it's got to be one of these. It looks like it's going a medium speed, so that means medium slope. So that's going to be number 5. Just keep clicking on that. B is negative, but it's going slower, so slower means less steep on a position time graph. So that would be 4, and this would be the fastest, so it would be 6. There we go. So again, some of these you're going to see some different answers and things like that. So I hope that helps. Again, you can go back to home. You can, again, look at Help Me. The Help Me is always specific to the particular things which are being asked. If you do want to go to the physics classroom tutorial to help you with things, one-dimension kinematics is where we're talking about, motion, ticker tape diagrams, things like that, meaning of the shape for position time graph. So this is a really good resource to use. It's basically our online textbook. So hopefully those help.